Again, welcome to MACUL SIGSPED webinar. The SIGSPED stands for the Special Ed Interest Group of MACUL, and we are very happy to have Doug with us today, Doug Kish, and he can tell us a little bit about himself. He will be talking about Dragon Naturally Speaking and going over the basics and using voice recognition. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, or you can ask questions through the chat window, and we can slow down or move faster, whatever. I know Doug is very interested in making sure that you get what you need out of here. So feel free to type in questions, and I can help signal him that he has a question, and we'll try and be very cognizant of the time too, and we'll end right at 4:30. And again, so welcome everyone, and Doug, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Gail. Does everyone hear me okay? I would hope so. Let me see if I can switch this over to what I can use. I need to be able to share this with my screen. Yeah, I'm a teacher and a teacher consultant in the Utica Community Schools, and been using voice recognition software for about the last 19 years with different students, and it's been quite a challenge. Speak up a little. Okay, Sue, let me see if I can raise my volume a little. Actually, I can do it on the volume here probably.
And just so that you know, when Doug is adjusting his microphone levels, his sound goes out, and we also lost him as a presenter. So I'm going to keep tap dancing. Oh no, maybe there we go. I can see him now. So Doug, right now we can't hear you at all. In case you're talking.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we can.
Do I sound better if I talk with a great, strong voice? Okay. So I'll go back to this. I've been doing this with students for about 19 years now, working with kids with voice recognition software. I'm a Pohai teacher by trade, so I got started by doing it working with children with physical disabilities. And Sue's the one who's been trying to, who has asked me to do this a few times, trying to get me to do some stuff with Dragon through webinars in different areas, being able to share it because it's something I've been able to continue to do pretty much all the 19 years I've been teaching. So I'll try to get my voice in a better feedback there for you. So what we do is try to figure out a way that we can make it so that the growth of this is working for children in schools. So kind of give you an idea of what we're going to look at here. Who are the people that are going to be using voice recognition software? Previously, the people that were the best ones to use it were students with physical impairments. So the ones that I worked with the most that had the most success were the muscular dystrophy students. Those were the ones that were the most in need of it. They were the ones that were most dedicated. They could not physically be able to do anything else, so that was what they really had to do, and that's why they were able to do it. Other students that were able to have some success with it were students with physical disabilities, but they also did not have either a cognitive or a learning disability. More recently, in the last several years, we're finding that students with learning disabilities have been able to use the voice recognition more, especially some of the older teenagers that have had a rough time going through school, and they're getting to the point where they're finishing school and they realize they need to go on into college, and they just are not equipped to be able to write effectively, and they're working very hard at this. So so all of a sudden they were coming to me and they were saying, boy, I really need to learn to do this. So they were more dedicated to being able to use it. And then the other ones, but more recently, and I mean within the last couple of years, okay. Most recently, though, we're starting to have students that are using students in the elementary age and in the middle school age that never used to use voice recognition before. Usually they were too young to be able to use, and they were not able to do it. They weren't committed enough, they weren't dedicated enough, or they just did not have the skills to be able to do it. Or the technology was not ready for someone of that age, especially students in the middle school age where their voices are changing. We found it very difficult for them to be able to use it. So we're starting to find out that kids are being able to start using it in more ways than one. So why would we use voice recognition? Well, one thing we find out is that studies show that people speak at about 120 words per minute, where most people type at only about 40 words per minute. And therefore, they're not able to, therefore, there's quite a discrepancy. Now, if you're a person with a special needs, chances are being able to type at 40 words per minute is probably it's pretty difficult to do. So therefore, we know that they're falling way behind even what an average person is able to do. Accuracy. One thing that's great about this type of software is that as it's improved over the years, and it can be customized for unfamiliar words. The students are able to now be able to put in a vocabulary that they were not using, that they would be using in school, that they normally would be able to use, or be able to customize names of different people or different places that they would be able to customize. We're also noticing that people that are using this voice recognition software are showing improvement in areas of the core reading and writing skills. If you think about it, they're engaging more into those skills by being able to use voice recognition. So therefore, it's really requiring them to have to improve those skills in a natural way and find ways within themselves to be able to improve in that area. Now, and this is my favorite part, it's the technology of the future. Well, yesterday it was a technology of the future, but one thing we do know is that it's growing faster. And what I mean by growing faster is it's every time I turn around, something else is being voice recognized. I can now have parts of my phone and my car both have voice recognition. The difference with this, though, is that we're getting to the point where we're now improved to the point where voice recognition for text is improving. It's easy to give commands based on this, but it's a lot harder to make it into something that can be transcribed into something that is legible. So the software that we're going to look at this afternoon is called Dragon Naturally Speaking. And why I really like this software is because, first of all, it's hands-free. People with various disabilities can use this. People without disabilities can use this. You have totally control with your microphone. You can access any application on your computer. Wonderfully, you can go in and edit your text. You can edit your various different parts of any part of your text that you're working on. You can search your computer. You can actually now access the web. You can go to put it directly to social networking. And for people that have difficulty manipulating a mouse, it also has mouse commands. Now, one question that always comes up is, how does this compare to the software of the iOS versions, the stuff that's going out on their iPhones and iPods and iPads? Well, it's very, very interesting because obviously on the iPhones it doesn't require any training. However, you're very limited in what it can do. The accuracy is pretty good, actually, in my opinion. It's about 80%, and maybe even a little higher depending on how clear your voice is. But obviously, you can take it with you anywhere. It's easy. The cost is right. And many times when I put students up versus comparing using the Dragon on the computer versus the Dragon on the iPhone or the iPod, they choose this version instead. And I think a lot of it is because they're not ready to necessarily commit themselves to the work, and yet they want a quick fix for being able to get around. So, but I've also had several students in the past couple of years come to me after trying this and come back and say, I'd like to take another look at the other stuff. And I'm like, absolutely. Okay. So, how do we get started with this? Well, first thing we have to do is, I love this because this is the newer version of the Dragon. And I believe we're using 11.5 today, and I think there's a Dragon 12 out now. But the first thing they do is they want you to create a profile. Now, when we're creating a profile, it used to be that it wasn't even, you couldn't even take serious if you were looking at someone at a younger age. But now we can. If you see here, the choices, you can actually go now to 13 or under, which before it really was not an option. So this is very important because now we're able to take a look at the different things. The other thing we need to take a look at, they will look at, is your microphone positioning, which is very, very important. The microphone position is probably one of the things that you need to consider when doing this, because if you move it out of position for certain people, it's just not going to give you a consistent work, especially if you do not have one of the microphones that they provide through Dragon. Another step they have you do is a microphone check. So what they will do is have a person read through this different types of things, read through this, and it will come up with a, it'll look for how strong the microphone is and make it so that your computer is actually adjusted to the value of the phone, now, or the microphone. Now, the thing that's important about this is that through these parts from now on, when we're doing training, that everything we do, we have to speak out. We have to, the user has to be able to read this out loud to the computer, into the microphone. I have a lot of students that have difficulty reading. We have had very good success being able to stand next to a student and help them read through this if they're struggling with their reading, and which expands the number of users that can use this quite a bit. Next step, they also will give you is an audio check. Same type of thing. It's just checking on the hardware so that things are able to work, that your microphone is going to be at its best quality, and that things are set in the best area. This is probably the part that is making me the most happy about the latest versions of Dragon, and that is the actual the text for the training that you have to do. It used to be you would have to do one of these top selections, and my favorite was always the Kennedy's inaugural address, and there was always a selection from 2001: A Space Odyssey, but I don't see that in here anymore, which were very difficult reading for any of us as much as our students as well. Now though, if you take a look at the choices down towards the bottom, Pigs, Wolves, Owls, and More Stories by Children, these are designed for children. These are now designed for for children to be able to do rather than adults. Alice Adventures in Wonderland, something for teenagers, so that they are able to also be able to train. So the company that has designed this is making this so that all people are now considered this. Okay. So let's go in and take a look at Dragon.
Doug, right before you get Dragon started, I just wanted to remind people or tell people about the file share that we have along the left side underneath the attendee list. You'll be able to see some of the, I don't know, their PDFs, and I'm assuming one is the PowerPoint that you just went through?
Yep. Yes, one is the PowerPoint. And then there's some very good quick lists. There are some tutorials. There's even a curriculum that I found that is for Dragon, so that if you're working with someone and you would like to get started with them, step-by-step procedure. And those are all things that I've been able to find out on the web that I've been using with my students.
Nice. So if anyone wants any of those or all of them, you just tap on one and then click on download files, and you'll be able to download all of his resources for today.
Okay, thank you, Gail. Okay, what did I bring up here? Something I didn't want. There we go. Okay, everyone now should see a screen that says Basic Commands in Dragon Bar. And this is kind of what I'm going to follow through for for a while here regarding the steps of using voice recognition in Dragon at the basic level. One of the things that I really love about this version of Dragon is if you take a look here to the right side, this thing called the Dragon sidebar. For anyone that's just learning to use this, I would keep this open. and because it gives you lots of quick fixes that you can be able to use when you're be able to give your quick commands, so that if you can't remember what you're trying to do, it's already organized in different ways. Gives you your basically anything you're trying to do with how it's able to access the web, how it's able to access your computer, how you're able to control your mouse, and then various other commands. So this is a very valuable tool that I would recommend you keep open. What I'm using here right now is is called the Dragon Pad. And the Dragon Pad, when I open it, looks very much like a very basic Microsoft Word processing document. And it saves everything that we work in as a RTF file, so that it can be very easy to open up at any time in any other file. We're starting to realize that this is probably the easiest way for us to be able to work with our students using Dragon, that we're trying to go paperless as much as possible. So we're having students use their Dragon, save it, and then just send it as an email to their teachers as their assignment, rather than having to go through the process of finding a printer, hooking it up, printing, and wasting a piece of paper. And we're finding out that it's just becoming much, much more efficient than what it would have been in the past. So, or dropping it into a Dropbox or wherever it is that, however a teacher wants to work with it. So, so let's take a look at what we have here. Up along the top on the Dragon bar, you're going to see this red box. This is your microphone box. And the microphone box, when it's turned off, you'll see nothing here. If I turn the microphone box on, it will turn yellow. If the microphone box is on and it's recording, it turns green. And if the microphone is off, it'll turn gray. So when I turn it on for the first time, you'll see that some things have already started showing up on my screen. So let me show you how that works. New line. If I use the yellow, if I have a yellow line, it will show that I have my microphone on. Period. Now, go to sleep. Now, the commands that you want to use when you're doing this, go to sleep. Go to sleep. Okay, finally worked. When you're working with this, you have to use a couple commands to be able to turn it on and turn it off. One would be wake up, which would mean to turn it on. The other one is to go to sleep, which will turn it off. So, and you notice it did not get me all the way there, and that might be because I just moved my microphone out of the way so I could get a drink of water. So I put it back on. Let me see if I can get it to turn on. And the best way to do it is to monitor your microphone in the top left corner again. So wake up, go to sleep. So you can see it can work that fast. It is a little different voice than what we normally use when we are doing when we are then talking naturally. You notice I say it just a little quicker, maybe with a little more firm voice, and I just look at the words that I just typed when I said that, and it said Lebanese show. Okay, don't know what that meant, but that's how I read it as I was talking fast. So let's move on there. So that's basically how you're going to turn things on and turn things off. So now let's move on down here to this next area. Now this area here, I want to talk about your commands when you're using your lines. When you're working in a paragraph area, simple commands will be able to help you work your way through being able to set things up. And as you can see, there's simple things such as new line, new paragraph, tab, file, save file as, and save it. Save it would be an example of just like save what you already have. So we already typed something, we're going to save it. So let me show examples of how those work. Wake up. Today is a very exciting day for me. Period. This is my first webinar on Dragon Naturally Speaking. Period. New line. New paragraph. Tab key. I am looking forward to figuring out what I learned today so that I can do further webinars in the future. Period. Save file as. Scratch that. Save file as. Go to sleep. Okay, so you're able to see that by being able to learn these commands, I am able to easily navigate a paragraph or a sentence. I'll be able to move my cursor to different locations and be able to move smoothly through my document. Okay. Any questions up to this point? Okay, doesn't look like it. If you do, please shout out or write it up there and I'll take a look at it. Okay, the next one, you've seen me kind of do it already. What did I do here? There we go. Is punctuation. And what we're doing with punctuation is being able to, the fact that you can actually, at the end of a sentence, when a person is actually using Dragon naturally speaking, they cannot be able to use their natural, the sentence will not determine whether it's a sentence or a question or an exclamation or a comma. It does not determine what punctuation is actually used. So a student actually has to be able to determine it. So an example would be for using periods would be like this. Wake up. Wake up. New line. Hello. Period. Welcome to naturally speaking. Period. Go to sleep. So being able to see that you have to use something such as a period at all times. Same type of thing as a question mark. So if we go to question mark, wake up, wake up, new line, what do you think of naturally speaking so far? Question mark. Go to sleep. Okay, let's try the exclamation point. Wake up. New line. I can tell you for a fact, many students of mine love Dragon naturally speaking. Exclamation point. Go to sleep. Now, if I need to be able to use a comma, I can be able to navigate that way. So I'm going to demonstrate that. Wake up. Find many. Scratch that. Select fact. Add comma. Oops, scratch that. Scratch that. Scratch that. Add comma. Okay. Go to sleep. And as you can see, go to sleep. And as you can see, it's not always 100%. And I'll be go to sleep. And I don't use this 100% of the time. I'm not as dependent on as others, so I don't expect it to be 100% accurate for me. But let's try the quotation mark. Okay. Wake up. Wake up. New line. A great man once said, using dragon naturally speaking saved my life. Quote that. Go to sleep. So we can actually make it be able to use quotation marks. Okay. Okay, so the next part that I'd like to be able to share with you is
Doug, I have a quick question about the quotation
sure.
marks.
Yes.
This is Gail.
Yes.
How does it know what to put quotes on? Like, why didn't it have quote starting at a great man? Like, why did it do?
Oh, I think it was based on the last phrase that I used when I said dragon naturally speaking. I probably broke it up to saved my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I can say something like select line, and then I could say quote that. It would do the whole thing.
Okay, cool.
So
Thanks.
that's a good question. Yep. Yes, coming up. Okay. Okay, the next part would be go back and do some editing here. As you can see, a lot of the things that I had here had mistakes in them that I've been typing in here. So we should go back and take a look at some of those things. Especially let's take a look at the first one here. You've seen the one I've been using quite a bit. It's called scratch that. That basically means undo. So anytime I make a mistake, if I say the term scratch that, it automatically undoes anything that I've already done. Same thing for if I use the term select all or unselect that. So let me show you how that works. Wake up, select all, select all. It's not reading my voice. Select all, scratch that, select all, unselect that. Okay. Select great man, scratch that, select great man, quote that, select A, 2, cap that, select save my life, choose 5, exclamation point, delete that, delete that, exclamation point, quote that, exclamation, or scratch that, scratch that, exclamation point, or scratch that, scratch that, backspace, go to sleep. As you can see, it's easy. You can see that you can go through and you can edit, but it does need quite a bit of concentration and quite a bit of time to be able to do that. One of the things that we do question, though, is whether a person is having a hard time spelling. Like one of the things that we realize is that names are very difficult. And for that, we also have the option to be able to spell that. So if we wake up, okay, spell that, spell that, you can get lots of choices here too. For if you're not able to get, basically what spell that will do is if you do not know how to spell what you're writing, it's basically a spell check that gives you lots of choices. So I'm just going to cancel out of that. And we'll move on down to the next part, the customization. Now, customization is very, very important and a very valuable tool here for being able to do this, because a lot of my students come from very, very diverse places. Oh, go to sleep. So their names are spelled different. They have, and therefore it's very difficult for them to be able to, if they were going to use this, to be able to do that. So if we look up under the menu bar, on the right-hand side we have a menu bar that has a lot of things that we never are used to seeing. But one of the things that we have here is called vocabulary. And under vocabulary, we have the option of add a new word or phrase. So we can spell or type the word that we would like, so that could be a very customized name. And then we can put it in spoken form, so that how it would sound if it was different. So that when you are being able to, when you're saying it, the computer could then learn to program it. We have found that to work very well with a lot of our kids, especially some of our kids from the inner city whose names are very unique. There are a lot of families who have combined names, or they've come up with some very unique names, and it has worked very well for them. Under audio is another very important thing. This is the improve your recognition for words or phrases. Same type of thing, but this time, if you want to be able, you want to know what it is, how it is spoken. So you enter the phrase that you want to train, and then you're able to train it. So once you type it in the way that you want it, the way it sounds, if it is different, and then you would click train, and then you could be able to say it, and it will be able to take it. This part here, the other thing that you can customize, which I find valuable, been using this a lot this last school year under vocabulary. It's called import. If I can get that to pop open. Import list words or phrases. When we're using accessible instructional materials, we're able to get our textbooks now in digital format. One thing we're able to do is, knowing that different classes have different vocabulary, and they may not all be in our dictionaries that are prepared, naturally prepared for voice recognition in Dragon. So a lot of the words in biology and chemistry and some of the other courses that our students are taking, we're able to now take key vocabulary words, and we're able to have them in digital format and import them into our text, into our library, so that they become some of the choices that the computer is looking for when we are talking. And it's been really nice to see some of our kids be able to pull out those phrases and help them keep up, because if not, a lot of the terms, especially in biology, were not coming up very well with Dragon originally until we were able to import these words. So we were very excited when we were able to take some of our Bookshare textbooks and take the keywords and copy and paste them in, and boom, it worked out really well. Another couple features that I want to share with you today. Let's see. How long do I? This is a good question. How long do I spend? I spend, believe it or not, it takes the initial training usually takes about 20 minutes, and then 20 minutes to a half hour, and then we usually meet for maybe 10 to 15 minutes a week for about a month, and then from then it's when they need help. And usually they take care of it all by themselves. Usually once they get going, they're pretty good. We also make sure that there are other people around them that also have a lot of support too. But we've had some students require more, some require less. Like I was mentioning earlier at the very beginning, students with um, I noticed a lot of my students with Duchenne's muscular dystrophy who really need it needed less training because they were so dependent on it. Where I had other students that were that maybe are falling into the Asperger's, that really are unsure of themselves, I find need a great deal more training. So very good question. Two other tools that we're using that I find very good. One is audio read, and that's called Read That. So under audio, it says Read That, and what will happen is when we say Read That, anything that we typed will read back in the user's voice. So therefore, it reads it back. Now, it is not working here with my headphones on here that you can hear, so I cannot play this for you right now. But it's very nice because if you're able to say something, it reads it back into the headphones, and you can and the student hears it in their own voice, so they hear what it sounds like. The other option is what they say is playback, and what they mean by playback is that, actually, let me say that back again. I mixed it up. Audio Read That is a digitized voice. So it'll read everything back in a computer voice, where the playback is in the user's voice. It's a recorded voice that eventually that file is gone after a period of time. So let me just correct that one for you. And then this tool, this last tool that I want to talk about here is called Transcribe. And Transcribe recording you can find under Tools. And what you do is you can take a digital voice recorder of some kind. And the one that I like, I can share with you here, is a let's see here. We use a digital voice recorder, and the student can actually record their voice into this device and then be able to plug it in, and then it will transcribe that into the computer. So they don't need to be in front of their computer and being able to be typing or being able to talk into it. They can actually do it. Now, a person that's a Dragon Naturally Speaking user, can person who's a Dragon Naturally Speaking user can be able to, how do I want to say that? Use their commands. So if they want to be able to say all the punctuation as long as they're doing it, it will also read those commands in there. So that they can actually, since they're familiar with the software, it will be able to save their work. And it should be able to transcribe even punctuation. Okay, share my screen. There we go. Okay, I think I brought back my PowerPoint here. I wanted to show you. Okay, so this recorder right here is the one that I'm finding to be the most successful. It's a Sony ICD UX71. What I really love about this recorder is it has a built-in USB drive already in it, and it also has headphones. So students can record into it, be able to plug it into their computer, and then it will transcribe right into it. I've also experimented recently having some teachers put voice files into the computer, into Dragon, and then be able to try to record some of their lessons using a recorder, and then being able to transcribe it for students, so it will transcribe. And we have had some success using it. A lot of it is just getting the teachers to want to participate in using that with us. And then, since we're talking about that, where do we get started with this? I'm always having students come up to me, or teachers are coming up to me, and they're asking me, where do we start with using Dragon? And we always take a look at something. Well, the first thing I find is when I'm working with students, the first thing I like to do is do a demonstration with them, a short demonstration, about 5 to 10 minutes. I'm showing them, talking into it. They're sitting next to me. They're seeing me talking, I'm showing them what it's like to say something into it, show them how to use punctuation, show them how to basic edit and the basic commands. Um, from there, we sit down, I sit right next to the student, and we begin the training. Um, don't want to leave them alone with this. We want to make sure that they know that there's someone there to support them. Um, and therefore, they get that extra support right away, and they know that they can be able to if they have questions or they reach roadblocks, or especially in the part of the training where they struggle with some of their reading, or they may be going too fast and they don't realize what they're doing, that we can help slow them down and help them get just a little bit of coaching. And then what we have found is that when we are using this, we need to be able to structure assignments. Um, a lot of times what we're doing when we create this, we think, well, they're already ready to go with being able to write. And what they're not able to do is really be able to write as much as we would like them to. And so we need to really structure out how it is that we're going to use this. We have to give them very good, clear directions on how they're going to use Dragon dictation, Dragon naturally speaking, um, and make sure that the assignments aren't too big to start with, because um, the first thing you want them to do is write a big essay. They need to start with maybe a sentence, then a couple sentences, then a small paragraph, and be able to work their way up. And they do need to make sure that there's someone near them, so that in case they feel like they've reached roadblocks. But that's basically it. I would like to say that I'm one of those college teachers that says that I'm going to get you out early today. Um, so I can do that. But I am definitely open for questions. If anyone has any, I'm looking up at the discussion board. Here we go. Um, deaf or hard of hearing students. Okay. Good question about that, about speech and articulation errors. That is an excellent question. We have found that I have found some very interesting things with that. Dragon can be trained. I can't say much about deaf or hard of hearing at this time. However, I do know that teachers, when they're transcribing, can be, if they're consistent, they're fine. But here's what we have learned about voice, especially students with voice issues. Like I have a lisp, and my lisp is very consistent. Of course, I've been through speech, and so it's not as often as it needs to be. But I have had a student once with Tourette's syndrome, and the Tourette's syndrome, he had quite a stutter, but it was very, very consistent. And he was an excellent user of Dragon. In fact, he's using it in college now. I've had other students that have very consistent um, problems with speech and the same type of thing. Dragon is in a point now where you can program a lot of the programming areas that I showed you. You can program. You can look for. It also reads for consistency in errors, so it does um, learn, and you can program it to work towards those. Does that help answer your question, Ann?
And I could say a little bit about the using Dragon with students who are deaf or hard of hearing. We actually tried similar to students who had English. They were English learning students, so English wasn't their first language, and so it was difficult. Like for example, our goal was for the teacher to just do their thing, to talk to their students, do their lecture, or however they are communicate or teaching their class, and then have Dragon or anything be able to translate what they are saying. And it was not successful just because of um, the way people talk. They want to. Sue's got a nice address or link there. The way people are talking is different than, you noticed Doug saying how he talks purposefully, and then being able to go back and clean it up and all of that kind of a thing. So it ended up not being helpful for the student where English was not their first language. Sue, can you tell a little bit more about the iCommunicator? Yep, we can hear you good. Okay, if there aren't any other questions, we can end this webinar. And again, I will be able to send out an email that has a link to this webinar so you guys can share that other places. It'll be on our MACUL website. It's just macul.org, and then look for the Special Ed Interest Group, SIGSPED as we are known, to find that. And I will also send out a link to everyone who is registered for this. But we like to share the links for our recorded webinars too. And I will second Sue's nice comment there to thank Doug, and I really do appreciate all your knowledge. It was good. It was a great, especially for your first webinar, very well done. And Doug, can you put up your email, like maybe type it into the chat room or? Doug Kish at or Doug.Kish at macul.org. Feel free to contact Doug if you have any questions. Oh, that's a good question. While we have our people remaining here, does anyone else have a topic for other webinars? Anything that you're interested in that you wish that someone would do a webinar on? Feel free to write it in the chat or send somebody, either Doug or myself or Rose, an email and let us know.